Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Blood, Sweat, and Gear. Today, we've got a bunch of topics, including PGF2A. We're going to talk about IGF and whether it works locally or systemically. We're going to talk about massage guns and what our thoughts are on them. Are they beneficial? And a whole bunch more. We've got your listener questions, including stuff about DHEA, stuff about melanotan, stuff about skip loading, and that's it. So if you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, guys, please do, because we have several programs coming out each week. Here we go.
Welcome back to Blood, Sweat, and Gear. I'm your host, Scott McNally. Along with me today is Skip and S2H. How's it going there, S2H? How's the weather in Texas?
I don't even need to say shit. I don't even need to say shit. We're not going to talk about the weather.
We don't want to hear about the weather here. We don't hear about your cab. We want to hear about gear.
All right. Gear.
Cut straight to the gear.
Trend.
Gear, yeah.
Trend balloan.
I have some questions about a peptide. It's PGF2A. We're going to use that. That's our intro, just so you know.
Okay, well, I would have put it.
Almighty, you're gonna make my brain warm up quick.
We're going straight in. This is like no warm up. So what is this stuff? What is it? AB2CQXW? What's the name of it?
OPP.
Do you know PGF2A?
PGF2A. I have no clue what this is.
So, man, that is a very complex topic in a lot of ways, other than exactly what it is. But I'm glad you asked me this right now, since I have to think about it. Well, it first started out. It's a veterinary drug.
Oh.
I believe Upjohn makes it. It starts with an L. I don't remember the name of it. Luitalcy or something. And it's used for inducing ovulation in cows. So it's used to manage. You can actually give a cow an abortion with it too. You can do two ways with it. Cattle ranchers use it to manage their herds, because you can mix it with another compound.
Oh, you meant an actual cow on a farm.
Yeah,
okay,
it'll actually it's like how they can get cows pregnant, and they can manage their herd because they can mix it with another compound that has like GnRH in it and HCG and stuff, and it'll actually cause a cow to have an abortion. So it's for cattle, but it's what's the bet? That word is like the worst one for me. It's a
prostaglandin.
Prostaglandin, yeah. So there's a bunch of prostaglandins that are in the tissue in your body, and so when you work out, when you work out really hard and you get inflammation, your muscles have arachidonic acid in them, which is like omega-6, I think. It's a lipid, and
causes inflammation.
Then that actually signals your body to produce PGF2A along with PGE and a bunch of other PGs. We'll just call them PGs because I think that's what they call them. And so the PFG2A in the end helps in protein synthesis, recovery, and hypertrophy. So your body produces it naturally, but it also produces another PGE2, which does the opposite. So I think the thought process was, if we can bring more PGF2A in, we'll increase protein synthesis and hypertrophy. The issue is the shit hurts like hell when you inject it. It causes it causes a bunch of muscle smoothing. So you are gonna lose, your bowels are gonna get real loose, crampy. You'll get kind of like achy, kind of flu feeling sometimes. It's a super no-go in women. It's big time, because it actually can do what it does to cows.
Right.
It's
Well,
used to
some of
uterus.
them are cows. See, I don't know about your guys' maturity level, but I've been having a hard time keeping a straight face every time he talks about getting a cow pregnant or getting a cow aborted. So I apologize, but that's just my level of maturity. And it's important to know the blah, 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 blah. That's really good speaking there, Skip, to repeat the word "the" 3 times.
and then point it out.
Exactly. This is why I'm never going to go big. When you hit a shot of this,
You're
you have
huge.
to understand, you can literally shit your pants. Okay.
Yep.
When
Yes, I do.
he's saying smooth muscle tissue control, you can literally shit your pants within 30 seconds. And I'm
Why?
not exaggerating or being dramatic.
Why do we use this? Why do people use this? Then?
Because it can, if anything in this world has even a half of a percentage point possibility of getting you huger,
Yeah.
but you might shit your pants in 30 seconds. Come on, who isn't going to try that out at least once, right? So
Yeah, well,
standing in public when you take the shot, you can just sit on the toilet and take the shot and be like, "Well, that didn't work."
It could be like a game you play, like in public, taking PG.
Right? How long can I hold?
F2.
Well,
Yeah.
20 seconds, shit my pants. Anyway,
So yeah,
Shit roulette.
it's I mean, I don't even know if there's any legitimate stuff out there of it, but there was. I can remember. I think it was 10 something years, more than that, maybe years ago. There was some talk about using PGF2A with PEG IGF for localized growth because the PEG IGF, it's got a much longer life and it doesn't go as systemic apparently. So they thought as IGF-1 does, and I guess if it really worked, people would be doing it. But I mean, it's kind of like, what's that fat processing drug, Zynocal? It's kind of like mainlining Zynocal. I mean, as soon as you take it, you're going to be in the bathroom. And there's been some. I remember there's been a lot of thought processes on this. It's actually a molecule, so that it caused fat loss, and it didn't cause fat loss, and it broke down fat. The problem is that there's so many different PGs out in your body that there's a lot of contradictory stuff. I don't even really think there's been. I think the only thing that came out of a study of this was there was some thought that if you had too much AA, so the that word, arachidonic acid, that you could have cardiovascular issues, lung, kidney issues, and all that. But I think that was kind of debunked as not an issue. But man, I don't know. I mean, first of all, if it actually did work, I would be hard pressed to see you could find it for anything that didn't cost a fortune. And it's not I mean, I know somebody who tried it, and it was like immediate, like achy flu-like symptoms in your body as soon as you took it. And then you go crap a bunch, and you cramp, and you feel like crap. And so,
and I heard too, you can't even really train on it. You're not even really supposed to. It's supposed to be this half-ass training regimen, and it's a very complicated injection schedule because apparently the half-life is retardedly short. So you're injecting it 2, 3, 4 times a day optimally. And to do that, you have to rotate around. When you train that muscle group half-ass, you're not even training it all out based on what that injection schedule. It's kind of funny. And you make a good point, Scott, because my biggest question was, on paper, it looks awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, this shit looks fucking incredible, right? And yet this was out and discussed and debated and trendy or whatever 15, 18 years ago. I mean, this is back like 02, 03, 04, 05. Why is it not there? It's not there anymore, or it's not out there because it's not effective. I agree with you in part that, it might be really expensive, but the real reason it's not there, anybody can get anything.
Yeah.
If it's effective, somebody will provide it no matter the cost.
We have a listener, we have a viewer who's telling us about it right now, actually. He said
a supplier.
He said he tried it. He said he got muscle cramps that were awful, and he got stomach cramps. Richard, did you see any gains out of it? We'll ask him that. Maybe he gained like 20 pounds of pure muscle. In that case,
Yeah.
you know.
And be honest, Richard. I mean, if you took it and shit your pants, be honest.
Yeah,
and
tell
know.
us. We want to know if
Yeah.
you shit your pants.
Yeah, within like a minute.
Yeah. Or
could've
at
made
all.
it, maybe.
You know what I mean?
Maybe-
Anytime after that, yeah, it's like, I shit my pants one time, but 3 years prior I took PGF2A. No, you can't do that. You can't. There's a statute of limitations. You shit your pants more than 2 minutes later, that's on you. That's not on the PGF.
It's on you.
Nice try.
Well, it's also it's also going to be affected by other hormones, cortisol. You know, I mean, on paper, I guess it probably does look pretty sweet, but if you look at everything that affects that process and all the other synthesizing molecules, everything, hormones going through your body, I mean, it just and you got to shit your pants. I don't know. You know, it's probably something interesting to study. Doesn't do anything for me.
I think anytime you put anything on paper, doesn't it kind of look pretty fucking appealing?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because I remember there was a time where I put DNP on paper. I'm like, wow, like this is
It's amazing.
This is gonna be amazing shit. Like this is really gonna work.
But it worked too, didn't it, dude? It worked really well.
It did work, and it took me as close to death in my 50. And I shouldn't laugh, but this is more an attempt at levity.
Yeah.
It took me closer to death than anything in my 50 years.
Wow.
What was that?
That I can think of. Fucking up that DMP.
Yeah, because you didn't listen.
I knew you had to get your fucking 2 cents in there. I did listen. I fucked it up. And then I listened to you again because I knew that it wasn't going to be good if I didn't listen to you the second time.
So let me just tell this story real quick. I get a call like 11 o'clock at night.
we've done this.
11 o'clock at night.
I'm
it's 11
serious.
o'clock
I
at night.
really
The phone
appreciate
rings.
if you didn't do this for
And
the fucking.
I'm like, hello.
Yeah,
and it was
real.
him.
I'm
He's like,
telling
dude,
you.
my ankles
Oh,
are confused. I'm
fucking
on my couch. He goes, what should I do? I go,
Yeah.
how cold is it there? And he goes, it's
He's not even
negative
listening
20.
to you.
I go,
I
go
know,
get
and I don't,
on the
I'm
porch.
serious. I don't appreciate it because we've rehashed this so many times, and I've been honest about it.
Every time.
Been very, very honest about it, saying that it was very uncomfortable for me to be public about fucking that up. And I called you because I knew you had the answers, and I admitted that.
I just wanted you to admit you were on the porch looking at that pool with the tear in the top of the cover.
What?
He knows what I'm talking about. Your pool cover that has a hole in it. Or
No,
did
you
have
know-
a hole.
You mean my hot tub with the
Yeah,
strap?
hot tub, yeah.
I don't get the reference though.
Your hot tub had a hole in the top of it, the cover.
Oh, yes,
No,
it did. Oh, now it all
Yes,
makes
it did.
sense.
We had to listen about it for like 45 minutes one time about the
It was
hot tub with the hole.
We
I just
did,
had a
yeah.
strap. I had a strap that was broke.
Nah.
Listen, okay, we're going way off
All
the
right,
rails
get
here.
back on topic.
So I'm gonna actually go to the next topic here because we've
Yeah,
got
thanks.
a bunch of stuff. I am going to conclude saying that unfortunately for us and our entertainment, Richard did not shit his pants. He said the schedule of injections was terrible. I always injected at the house and couldn't get steady and reliable. So shit and gains or live away from the bathroom. So
Hashtag Richard is a liar.
he didn't want to tell us.
I believe him.
Yeah.
I believe him.
So we did have a few things we're going to talk about tonight. I just talked to somebody about this topic, which I'll be curious to hear your guys' opinions on them. Massage guns. We've got a couple other topics too, but I thought this would be a good place to go to IGF. Skip.
Sweet.
IGF. You've had some personal experience.
I had a. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
You've had some experience. S2H, you've had some experience. I've had some experience. I used to be a lot bigger of a fan of IGF in the past. In fact, I'll go as far as to say that like early on in my bodybuilding career, before I knew anybody and I just read the message boards, I had the opinion that maybe IGF was the magical thing, like this element that's what guys like John Meadows had probably used to get all the muscle that they had built, and that like the magical thing I was missing, like early on you have those ideas like, oh, if I only had this put together, I could be, I could be a Sean Roden, Unfortunately, it turned out that was not the case. I learned my lesson. First of all, yeah, I look nothing like Sean. But second of all, IGF never really did a ton for me, I think personally. I noticed the biggest thing I noticed personally was being able to get like crazy pumps from it. Skip? Pumps?
Yeah, but you know what? And either one of you correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think the pump is related as much to IGF as it is if you just injected saline into a muscle before you
I'll get the
worked
pumps
out,
everywhere though.
you'd probably get the pump.
It's insulin like.
Yeah, it is insulin-like, obviously, and I agree with you completely there. I don't know. See, maybe a bigger part of the issue is I don't use pre-workouts. I don't use things that give me a pump. Probably because I just get sick, retarded pumps anyway. So I don't really notice. Like people say, well, I used this and I injected this, and maybe it's IGF, maybe it's something else, and they or a pre-workout, and they just it was painful. I had to stop training. I get painful fucking pumps all the time. My pumps are retarded. They always have.
But what I'm asking is what you did
get.
Dieting. But what did you get? What do you get is what I'm asking. Like
What
that was
do I
the
get
main.
out of just using it?
Yeah, that's the main thing I noticed. I don't know if I really gained muscle out of it per se.
Well, here's the thing, and we were talking before. I saw a study posted about that. Basically, this was on Facebook or IGF, Instagram, but I think it was Facebook, where it was a relatively short study that just basically said that in a petri, and I'm paraphrasing, but in a petri dish, that IGF, made cells, localized muscle cells grow. Okay, and that's the argument that IGF injected locally needs to be injected locally so that it impacts the hypertrophy or the size of the muscle cells in that area. The problem that I have with that, I won't even say that that's not true. I'm not going to say that. I'll just take it at face value that it's true. That's not the only impact though that using IGF has. So, and even aside from that, let's take it at face value and let's just say that is the case. The study is correct. There's no flaws.
Yeah.
How do we quantify that? And the reason I ask that is because I've put plenty of IGF into my side delt or delts, and I don't notice that my side delts are any bigger than any other muscle that I've ever trained over the last 18 months or when I used IGF 15 years ago. Now, I will say this. I wasn't a big fan of IGF 15 years ago, and I say 15 years ago, I'm throwing that out as an approximate because I think it was right around 04, 05, but that's my best guess because, I've had a lot of years doing shit. But recently, after coming back to it, quite a different impact, whether it's age or whatever, I don't really know. Maybe it's a different compound, maybe it's just better quality. I don't really know, but a completely different impact this time around. So what I've seen could very well be just better quality. Maybe I had shit IGF to begin with, back then. But what I have seen the most is I can get, without changing anything else.
Yeah.
All variables the same. I will get really lean on the shit. And someone tried to bust me about a month ago, and I don't appreciate it, but it's typical. Because I had said that the hunger, like even when I train, I never get hungry when I train, but I made that comment just to prove that I was hungry. And of course it was kind of, well, it's like I don't understand how shit works, that my blood sugar levels.
That was me. That was me.
No. Well, you only reiterated what I had heard from some. I heard the same thing. You didn't mock me when you said it. So
I didn't know that somebody else had said that, or that it was in a mocking fashion, and that I was just reiterating.
But that's probably why when I responded to you, you may have noticed, God, he seems a little irritated.
Dude, I thought you were fucking pissed. I didn't say anything, but I was like, man, I think I pissed him off. I really was.
I came across that way is because I very quickly, I wanted you to know, no, I have plenty of carbs countering this. This isn't, this big, massive dose. I'm not in here training that particular day. I think that I was complaining about it. I don't even know. I was fucking training arms or something. But the point is I was countering with plenty of carbs. And even if my blood sugar levels were low, that wasn't the only time I was hungry. I just had mentioned that because during my workouts, I get hungry when I obviously never get hungry. I was fucking hungry all the time. And I'm not people tell me, they're like, oh, you eat that shit all the time, you load and everything else. They naturally assume that I'm hungry all the time and I have this huge appetite. I don't. I can starve myself. And that is not something, I don't have this bizarre relationship with food that most people do when they go, a week on it and then they break down and they eat everything in the kitchen and everything else. I'm not like that. I don't have that type of relationship with food. I could starve myself for 6 months.
And I wouldn't think you would, personally, just because I know the way skip loading works. And if anything, I would think that you would be really good at starving yourself to be able to get yourself in a position where you could really utilize a skip load to its max. That would be my thought, at least. You know what I mean?
And like I said, I don't want to get away from, I'm going off on a tangent, but my point being is I get really lean. The first month of this cutting cycle that I start tomorrow, I'm not changing much of anything. Yeah, I'm going to this will be my first cutting cycle. I want to get lean and see what the fuck is there after the last 18 months. So when I do that, the first month is going to be IGF, and I already know I'm going to be, I'm going to be hungry. Yeah. I'm going to get lean as shit. So that's just a side effect. And that is where I come back to that study that was posted, because there may be that localized effect. But my question is, quantify that? How much growth are we talking about? I can't say that it's not negligible. Are you even going to notice? Are you going to see it? Is it going to be something visual? Is it worth either the cost, if that's what the main reason you're going to be using IGF, is it worth the cost? Is it worth the fact that the timing where you have to take it right before you train, take it to the gym with you, whatever? It's kind of a pain in the ass. But there's the other systemic issues too, or the other argument where there are so many other things that happen that are not localized that are of a huge benefit as far as IGF is concerned as well. So I even think someone responded, if I'm not mistaken, about MK and the increase in IGF from MK. And I don't know that it was necessarily a mocking response, but that's what I took away from it. And look, all I'm going to say is this: if you're natural, you're not using growth hormone, you're not using all these compounds, any increase you can get in your IGF levels are going to be beneficial. In fact, if for someone who would say, or might argue that, well, it's not enough to really matter, then I would come back and I would say, then you need to quantify and tell me, give me some idea how much growth is coming from the localized IGF injections then. If we all agree that there's localized growth, how much is there? You got to quantify.
There can only be as much growth as the life of the drug. So, I mean, if you like IGF-1, I mean, you say IGF, it's a pretty general statement because there's a lot of different forms of IGF, from different parts of the amino acid chain. So if you have an IGF-1, which has a half-life of like nothing, and you inject it IM and it enters the bloodstream, well, it's only going to be able to act on what it can reach in its half-life or life of the drug. So, I mean, it goes in your bloodstream. Everything's shuttled by proteins. I mean, if a thing has like a 5-second half-life, well, it's only going to go where it's only going to make it very far. So it's like, I don't see how you can say is it a localized drug because of what it is, or because of what its half-life is and where you're putting it? And then there's the part about, a lot of people, when they want to make a muscle grow, they keep pounding pins in there, and you're going to have inflammation, scar tissue, and all that. So I've injected a shitload of IGF, all kinds. I have never seen any localized growth.
Well, and that was my argument. Like I said, I didn't get any more growth out of my site. And I've had a pretty good growth cycle. I mean, the last 18 months have gone very well, but I can't seriously say that over 4 or 5 runs, I mean, even if it was only 4 and not 5, that's 4 months of running IGF pre-workout, that there should be something there. It could be argued. I think the other argument was, it needs to be, the muscle that it's injected into needs to be worked and everything else. So, the argument on the other side might be, well, you're not supposed to be putting your side delts every day that you train, because if you're not working your side delts, well, if I'm working chest and I put up my side delts, I don't think that the IGF is going to go, no, I'm not going to work, because it's just not direct. It's not enough direct work, or back, or the amount of times that I, maybe picking up dumbbells to do, bicep curls or stiff leg deadlifts or what. I don't think that that's the case. the shoulder itself or the side delt is pretty much, it's going to be worked to some degree. No, damn near pretty much anything you're doing. You could even say on legs that if I'm holding myself into an angle leg press, that my side delts are being, they're being hit enough if I've injected IGF to get some sort of benefit out of that. So, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not picking at the study itself or anybody who responded. I just don't know if I don't know if some of those responses were terribly accurate. And like I said, I don't know that a couple of them responses weren't kind of made, not in jest, but almost mockingly, like, systemic IGF levels really have, and I'm being presumptive because I don't know exactly what they meant, but I kind of walked away from that interaction. I almost wanted to ask, but then I'm like, I'm not going to get into this discussion here. It's not my page, that sort of shit, where I almost got the impression that systemic IGF levels really don't have much of an impact outside of localized growth. Like if you get localized growth from injecting it locally, then that's the only thing that really matters. And again, if that's not the case, that's fine. But that's kind of what I came away with. And I just don't know how someone can make a statement like that.
I mean, I know
wouldn't think so either.
I would think that like with the anti-aging community and everything, they're kind of, it's funny because we're all for IGF, but the vast majority of information you'll find on IGF is like how to keep your IGF low, like how to avoid having IGF, spikes, stuff like that, because that's what will keep you alive longer, is having lower IGF. And, you take a situation like cancer. I mean, that's like, it's going to go to the cancer, right? So the cancer is going to grow. I don't know. My skin's going to repair on growth hormone. And I don't know whether that has to do with the IGF or not. I can tell you this, though. This is like just a weird random side thing. The first time I ever used IGF, I don't know what was up with the quality of this stuff. And I've seen it since to a lesser extent. I took this IGF and within like the first day or two, all the pores like across the bridge of my nose and stuff, they just disappeared.
Really?
Isn't that weird? Like my face, the skin, the texture of my skin changed, and it lasted for like 3 months after I stopped taking it, and then it just went.
Were you injecting it straight into your face?
Of course. Well,
then apparently it was that localized reaction that we're talking about. And when I say that, I'm not mocking and I wish I could remember who posted it, but it was someone who was very like pro study.
Okay.
And there's nothing wrong with being pro study. Here's what happens.
Yeah.
You almost have these groups where people are either one or the other. Sometimes you get the weird, Scott Stevenson in there who can back up both sides and that sort. She's really good at picking apart studies too, by the way.
Yeah.
But you typically have the two groups. One, you either fall on the side of you tend to not entirely rely on studies, but you fall to that side and you kind of default to, well, the study says this, so I believe that. And then you have the people on the other side, and I admit, I've been very vocal about it for years. I fall on the side of the experience. And I find it funny, not make fun of people, mock people funny, but there's still a little bit of a giggle in there when most of the study people, not all, so don't fucking message me or advices and say that I made a blanket statement because I'm not. Most people who fall on the side or tend to fall on the side of the studies don't have a ton of experience and background in the years behind them. That's why the people with the experience in the background, they fall back on that because they have seen where they have done something and applied something and done it, put it into, and it doesn't come out like the study says that it's going to come out.
That's why I don't argue that shit. A lot of that's
because these studies are in a very controlled environment. And, people, well, I shouldn't say this. I'll just say that if you don't read the entire study like Scott Stevenson would do and understand what is going on and how those studies are not that easy to read either. They can be kind of confusing. But, if you don't read the whole study and you look at how that study is controlled and how the environment, how the people that are in the study, how everything's controlled from diet to sleep to everything down the line, it affects the whole outcome of the study. So age group, whatever, and so yeah, a lot of times you can read a study, the first couple paragraphs, and you're like, oh, this stuff's bitching, but if you really read the whole study down through the controlled group, it doesn't or if you can't understand the funky dunky plus minus point negative reverse negative way they list the results, it can be a little bit sometimes it can be not what you think it is.
Well, the verbiage, I think, too. I mean, look, I've written for a long time. I consider myself to have a slightly above mediocre vocabulary. I'll tell you what, apparently I'm not anywhere near as smart as I think I am, because I struggle sometimes to read those motherfuckers.
Yeah, they're difficult.
Okay.
Well, they don't chart anything. They put everything in sentences.
We had
like all the results.
When Victoria was on Drugs and Stuff with Dave Crossland, one of the things they talked about was interpreting studies, and she was like, I don't want to say that people shouldn't try to learn, but she was like, there's a lot of people in fitness that are misinterpreting a lot of studies, like that it happens all the time now. And that here's the problem though, is that, I don't know that. You don't know that, Scott doesn't know that. But if somebody comes out and they say that, they tell us like, hey, this is what I've learned from the study, and we see them as being like someone who's coming off as credible because they've read this and they're confident, then it sounds good. You know what I mean? It's like, but there's a lot of misinformation, I think, that does go around in fitness nowadays because bros are reading studies.
Absolutely. And that's what comes back to my statement that I wanted to be very, very careful with how I worded it. But a lot of the people who do fall on that side of relying more on studies than, and you know what, you kind of have to, if you don't have the experience, if you haven't experimented and done trials and errors for a long, you don't have the experience. So what the fuck are you going to fall back on? Maybe it's just a default. Maybe you have no choice. You've got to fall back. I can't fall back on experience, so I might as well fall back on the studies of the smart people who are telling me this is what happens when this happens.
Well,
I'm not going to fault them.
I think there are some intelligent people though that are using studies too, and that are relying on them. But I'll say something John Meadows said.
I think.
I'll say something John Meadows said, and he's like, and I mean it with all respect, I don't want to overgeneralize, but he was like, a lot of people who are relying on studies should, get their biceps bigger first.
I'm really glad. I was hoping when you said John Meadows, I'm like, oh God, I hope this doesn't go against what I'm saying. But it usually doesn't. It's funny. I just watched a couple. I'm trying to get off on a tangent, but I watched a couple videos of John's in the last week, and I haven't watched a fucking video of someone else talk about something in I don't even fucking know how long.
Yeah.
And it was funny going through listening to him. I'm like, this is why I don't listen to you, John, because basically everything you're saying I completely fucking agree with, and I'm laughing while I'm listening to it. And what he does is he's very knowledgeable, don't get me wrong, but John's big selling point is, and I don't want to say why so many people like him, but they migrate to him because he can take something very complicated and he can explain it in very simple layman's terms. Absolutely. And you go, okay, thank you. Now I understand it. Yeah. He's very, very good at doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, he is. But anyway, we kind of got off on a tangent. We're just talking about IGF here, and experiences is where we started with that. But we ended up here. And we had another topic, but time-wise, Skip, we're going to say something?
Yeah, I am. I wanted to put one more thing in just to end this topic. In my experience, when I use growth hormone and IGF, it doesn't make me bigger. I don't come out of a cycle or come out of all the use of those two compounds and said, wow, I'm bigger. What it does is they both, over time, make me significantly leaner. And I just leave it at that. That's just my experience with it.
Yep, I would agree.
All right.
Doesn't mean you can't get bigger. Doesn't mean somebody else might not have a different response. But I'm saying that is mine, and I think a lot of people feel the same way.
Guys, we're going to go to a break. We'll be right back.
Hey guys, why are you using sports nutrition that was designed for someone else? At TrueNutrition.com, they offer the world's largest selection of quality protein powders, and they let you design your own custom blend from a variety of powders, flavors, boosts, and packaging options, like the Team Skip blend, for instance. That's over 20 billion possible combinations to create a protein powder tailored to your diet, your goals, your tastes, and your budget. TrueNutrition.com also offers the ability to create delicious custom oatmeal blends. And they're third-party tested, proving that all their supplements are ensured to have the highest level of quality and value. Don't be a sucker and pay for fancy packaging and gimmicks. Discover the source that bodybuilders trust and stop using mass-produced nutrition that wasn't designed for you. TrueNutrition.com. And use our code ADVICES at checkout to let them know that you support the shows.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Blood, Sweat, and Gear. I'm Scott McNally with Skip Hill and S2H. This program is brought to you by True Nutrition. Guys, if you're watching this on video, we've also got the audio version. Go to advicesradio.com. And if you're listening on a podcast app, do us a favor. Give us a good review, and that'll help other people find the show. If you're watching this on YouTube, then also do us a favor. If you enjoy this stuff, hit the like button. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so you can stay up to date with everything we're doing. Guys, we've got a bunch of questions here. I haven't even asked you how you guys have been.
I just want to say that I hope I don't get written up for talking over you. I knew what I did right away. I apologize. I don't want another write-up. When we have supervision and you supervise me every 3 months, I always get anxious because I know that that's the number one concern. So I apologize.
That was funny because I really thought you were pissed at me that other day. I was like,
Really?
oh, shit. I thought I pissed Skip off because you looked at me. I was like, well, could it be your blood sugar on the IGF? Like, I should get a freeze frame and put that up here because, like, it was like the look of, like, death. And you took your glasses off.
Steam coming out of my head. What the fuck did he just say to me? No, we've been working together a long time. I can't think of a time where you really irritated the fuck out of me. Scotty, a little bit different, like say 20 minutes ago, but we get over it and we move on.
Hey, we got over that disastrous 4-episode podcasting we tried to do together.
What did we do?
That disastrous 4 episodes of podcasting we attempted to do together.
That was a long time ago.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
That was if we didn't kill each other then we never will.
Exactly. Yeah, we were basically wandering aimlessly. In fact, in hindsight, I feel like I was going,
Jeff.
Scott McNally, Advices Radio.
When I mentioned that we had the audio version, Jeff Nestor chimed in and said Skip looks better on the audio version.
Better in the audio version.
Skippy.
That's rough, man.
I love you, Skippy.
That's
Don't worry
rough.
about
I will
it.
tell. And listen, in my defense, I'm
Yes.
gonna try to justify this. I have not trained for 10 days. I've eaten like a complete fucking hog because I've had some issues with some trigger points and a external oblique. So, and I laugh, it's not funny, but I'll be in tomorrow. I'm supposed to start cutting like my next phase and this will be my first cutting phase in 18 months.
Yeah.
And I was supposed to start it a week early, because technically I was supposed to start tomorrow. And fucking 3 days before I was supposed to start it, I was having spasms and shit so I had to go through some, I tried to get my buddy, Dr. Petros Fragiskakis. That's very Greek, by the way.
That's a real name.
Yeah, he's we've been friends a long time. I've trained him since he was in the early stages of college, and now he is a doctor of physical therapy. And he lives up in West Palm, and we meet in Jupiter. And we meet in Jupiter, and he does Graston on me to help. First, it was just to help open up my lats more, specifically my left one, because it doesn't open up as much as the other one. Well, then it's so far to go, man. It's Jupiter can take me, fuck, dude. Scott knows his family's from Jupiter. Well, the family he married into. His other family's from
Jupiter
Arkansas.
Island, by the way.
Trailer in Arkansas somewhere. But yeah, Jupiter Island is a big difference too, to be quite honest.
Very poverty-stricken neighborhood.
Yeah, the median income or median house value goes up substantially on the island. I'll agree with you there. But the point is it's a long way from where I am, right? Back me up on that. So I just got tired of going, it was just a bitch trying to make time and the traffic and everything else. So anyway, I had some trigger points and he diagnosed it and told me what to do, and fuck, did it hurt. But anyway, I'll be in tomorrow and hopefully everything's okay. I think it is. I've been good for about 4 days.
You look good though. I think Jeff was just messing with you.
I'm all like fuck. I ate barbecue about an hour ago. I haven't shaved. I haven't tanned in a month. You know how it is. Sometimes other people don't really notice, but you notice and you feel like this really big fucking slob.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
You know, shit after like fucking 10 days of not trying. It's like big deal. But anyway.
I'm on no carbs.
Yeah? How's that going for you?
Actually, it was pretty brutal the first couple. Well, I'm not on no carbs. I do eat carbs in the morning, but after that, especially maybe a little bit like in the fourth, I eat about 4 meals a day. So like the third one, I put a little bit in, but the second none, and then at night none. And it was.
Okay, wait. We went from no carbs.
Let's go low.
It's
low then,
now
whatever.
Half of your fucking meals.
I went from fucking a pint of ice cream every night to this, so it's a big switch.
It's basically no carbs comparatively.
Yeah, I could feel like, it was. My blood sugar was doing a little bit of the disco dance fever, a little bit, but now it's starting to level out. So like last night I had grilled peppers and steak. Yeah. So been a little hungrier than normal, but I went to the doctor where the scale was a little higher than I expected.
Those doctors and their scales, they're not even cool.
Yeah, I thought the fucker was broken, dude. I'm like, is this thing really right? And she's like, oh, you gained 16 pounds from 3 months ago. I'm like, yeah, great.
I can't do that. Like, even if I tried, I can't do that.
It wasn't good 16 pounds, I can tell you that.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying now. I'm back on gear for the first time in 2 years. So we're going to see what happens.
Yeah.
I changed my training, Skip.
Wait. You're back on gear after 2 years.
Been about 2 years. I started a couple cycles, but I didn't really follow through.
Oh.
Skip, where have you been, Skip?
You were TRT.
Oh, well, yeah, but that's not like on cycle, right?
Yeah, no. And I completely agree. I was kind of confused there for a second because I'm like, wait, okay. All right, cool.
No, I've used TRT and HRT growth, but like, I feel like honestly though, I made like surprising progress in area. Like here's the deal. So the only thing that changed was my training in like the last couple of years. My food, I actually paid less attention to, ate less food. I wasn't pushing it like I have in the past. In the past, it would either be you were dieting because you were going to do a show, or you were shoveling your face full of food nonstop. You know what I mean? Those are like the 2 points that you ever had in your life. So you were either uncomfortable because you were full, or you were uncomfortable because you were hungry. And like the last 2 years, I've just kind of like taken it easier and focused more on everything that I'm doing with the network and with my own, coaching and all that. And I hadn't focused as much on my own physique. And so, I started pushing more food back up, and I started some gear again. But that said, I feel like I've made some progress. Like I'd been trying to grow my back for a long time, and finally I started seeing changes by changing my training. It's made me solidify, Skip and Scott, how important training is. Because I can see that I made it, like I wasn't eating everything that I could. I wasn't taking any extra supplementation, yet I still improved. Like I wouldn't have expected that. You know what I mean?
Well, you don't have much of a choice when you're not. That's the thing about not being on gear. And I think it's one of the things and one of the reasons people say that you need to give yourself time when you first start training to not be on gear so that you can learn the right way to do things, not only just training, but with nutrition as well, because it can become a crutch and you can kind of skip, a few stops on the way when you jump back on gear. So I think you being off, look, if you wanted growth from your back and you're on TRT, I know full well I was on TRT for 5 fucking years. You got to come up with some shit. I had one person ask me one time, they're like, well, why would it take you a year and a half to figure out, going to TRT? Bitch, I've been cycling for a long time. TRT is completely fucking, I'm not talking about just being on TRT. Anybody can be on TRT. I'm talking about being on TRT and still feeling like you're actually progressing.
Yeah.
Obviously not while you're on cycle, but making any sort of progress. Because going from cycling to TRT, good luck progressing at all if you don't know what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah.
So you're almost forced to do that. Now, here's the cool thing. You got to come back in about 6 months or however long the cycle's going to be. But
2 years.
Yeah, exactly. You need to come back in 6 months ago. And I'm going to hold you to this. I probably should just video this with my phone and show it to you again, because when you say, I made a lot
It'll
of
be on
back,
YouTube.
Yeah.
And then you'll make
Thanks,
more
Scott.
progress in the next 6 months because you've learned how to train your back correctly without the added gear. And then you're going to be cycling. So then you should have really good growth then.
I'm hoping
over
so.
the next, 4, 5, 6 months.
Yeah.
So-
Hey, I took the most I've taken in I don't know how long this week.
Wait, what?
Well, I mean, because I was so I didn't. I mean, I'm on TRT prescribed, but I don't take it. I didn't take it. I took months. I don't know. I take like a half a cc and then forget for a month and a half. And I mean, literally, I have vials from prescription vials that are like fucking 2 years old that are still unopened.
I'm just sending you my address right now.
So I took 100 milligrams on Monday and 100 on Thursday. So that's the most. That's got to be the most I've taken in I don't know how long.
You're loaded up now.
Well, I'm actually the veins in my arms started coming out more.
Yeah.
Nitrogen retention.
Only in one. Anyway,
well,
next
actually,
time.
it's in 3 of them, but I'll send you pictures later, Skip.
That's all right.
But yeah, that's the most. I just, man, it's I don't know. It just. But I started feeling really run down too a couple times, so I feel pretty good this week. Yeah, I mean, I'll probably do the Olympia next week. I don't know.
All right, why not?
Yeah.
I see a future pro card.
With the number 1 coach out there, Scott McNally. Hire Scott McNally if you need a coach.
All right, guys. I'm going to go to the questions.
That was a hell of a compliment, but it was a shot at me, you fuckface.
I forgot you did that, Skip.
Yeah.
We forgot.
Nice little.
I sent Scott some clients that were clients of mine. He's got them all ripped and shredded.
Hey, I think Scott is a very good prep guy. You're not fucking me over by saying that. I just know what your intent is, you asshole. Anyway, go ahead, Scott. Start with the questions.
All right.
And if you would, start with the cat questions.
There was no intent in that, Skip.
There was.
No, there wasn't.
Anyway, go ahead, Scott.
Listen, so we had one that was kind of a topic, but I am going to still ask here now. Massage guns, do you guys think they're a good investment? Now, I ran this question by Stage. You called him that a couple episodes ago, and that stuck with me. Stage.
Who?
Stage. S2H.
I said that?
You said that. You're like, what's
I
up?
Some funny shit, don't I?
You did.
Oh my god!
Never called me that.
I'm a witty. You weren't on that show. That's why I called you that.
Stage.
I don't call you names when you're actually on the show. I have enough respect for you to not do that. Go ahead.
So basically, though, now I had to tell Stage what a massage gun was, and he still thinks it's a buffer of some type. He said.
I know it is. It's a little fingery thing.
It's that thing that your wife puts in your ass while she's
That's exactly what I told him. I got a prostate check with it.
What do you guys think of them, though?
I don't know. I bought one, seriously, 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen it, but god damn if Melissa isn't walking around with a smile on her face all the time.
I feel like that might be a little aggressive for that.
It probably
action.
would. Yeah, it probably would be a little bit painful. But, here's my thing. I don't know. I mean, to be honest with you, I've wanted the same damn thing. And mainly when I was having the spasm problems with the trigger points in my back over the last week and a half, I almost bought one until I saw the fucking price. Yeah. And I'm like, you know what? I got a massage gun. Her name is Melissa, and she can use a lacrosse ball that cost me $1.50 at Dick's Sporting Goods.
Yeah.
And really, that's the way I went at it. I thought it would probably be too aggressive for trigger points anyway, but aside from my trigger point issue, just massage itself. Like I'm like, okay, I can't get up to see my doctor buddy Petros Fragiskakis. Yeah. I want to say Dr. Fragiskakis, but it's not very easy to say. Okay.
But anyway,
Fragiskakis.
Petro Fragiskakis. Yeah, that's weird. That's tough.
It's Greek. It's very Greek. Anyway, and the whole family is incredibly Greek. Went to the Greek wedding, but anyway, that's enough story. It was awesome. So I can't get up there to get this Graston done all the time. So I'm thinking, okay, what can I do? Okay, I can foam roll and shit like that. But if I had this gun, they're fucking $600.
I'll be right back while you guys talk about it. I'm gonna go grab mine so I can show Scott what it looks like.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
I know what it looks like.
It looks like a fucking. He can't hear you now. It looks like a drill.
Yeah, my one time of using one of those.
Oh, okay.
The guy that the Cairo guy used it on me ruptured my sterile abscess in my leg, and it cost me like $5,000 in surgery.
It's that strong that it will rupture.
when they put the weight in, he was using that buffer thing first.
Yeah.
And then he went to the fingery thing and it was pushing down on it, and I'm like, that really doesn't feel very good. And he's like, well, let's stop. And it busted it open. I had to get it removed.
How did you know? Did you just get real sick?
I had a big fucking lump, like a tennis ball in my quad.
Oh, it did. It got big because it was infected.
Because the enzymes circled the white blood cells, and enzymes came back around and just made it bigger. It was a piece of thing. It was something I had stuck in my leg.
I'm surprised though. I knew they were aggressive, but I didn't know that they were that.
When he leaned into it.
Yeah, but still, I mean, holy
What happened?
fuck.
So I had this lump in my quad years ago, and I didn't know what it was. So the chiro guy, he puts the buffer thing on there, and he gets that thing, the massage other thing, with that little fingery things on it, and he starts pushing down on it. He busted it, and it came up, and it got huge, and I had to get to surgery and get it removed.
His leg got all pussy.
Well, it's because I had something stuck in my leg. I had something stuck in my leg to begin with. There's a reason why it was there, so it probably needed to get removed anyway, but it wasn't coming to the surface. But
talking over my jokes.
It is what it is.
Anyway.
What are you drinking, McNally?
What do you have? What kind of gun do you have there?
I've got the Theragun.
Damn, so you got the expensive one.
Well, actually, a friend and client works for Theragun, and it was given to me as a gift for Christmas.
No shit.
Yes. Thank you very
Works
much.
for Theragun. Wow.
So it has all these different attachments too, including this one is pretty intense.
Skip likes that one.
Yep, it's a butt plug.
This thing is like nuts. But so here's the issue, and I'm holding this thing up to the other camera. I've got two cameras here so that the audience can see it. I just talked to Ken Kanakian about these things, and that the distance that this travels is too aggressive. That a chiropractor wouldn't use this because he said that it's too far. Like you can bruise the bone. Whoops.
Damn, for real?
So it goes out this far, and then it moves like a half an inch. So yeah, he said you can bruise bone with that, and this thing is pretty. I mean, that's like pretty hardcore.
Just checking.
You can blend your shakes with it.
Yeah.
I'm just checking my phone. Melissa sent a message. She wants to know where the 9-inch attachment is. Do you have that?
Oh, I've got it. I'll send it to you.
You got that one? Okay.
Yeah. The pink one or the brown one?
I don't think she cares. Probably both.
But yeah, they're pretty. That's pretty intense.
Pretty aggressive. Yeah, I didn't think that it was that. That's pretty fucking. You bruise your bone. Holy
you can. So here's the deal. He said that it could be beneficial if you use it in like the quad. If you use it in a big muscle, in the glute. If you use it, you said you could even use it like in the pec if you want. But he said that you want to stay away from like the clavicle. You want to stay away from joints. That you can cause issues if you were to bounce it off of a bone, for instance.
Okay, but don't they make one like I'm not trying to go against Theragun because I know that that's a Theragun and that's like top of the line. Yeah. But are there other ones that aren't as aggressive? Maybe I don't know.
I think that people want the aggressive. You know, I think people want the aggressive.
Why can't you change the speed? Like what the fuck? It's
what's at the speed? It's the distance. It's the distance. So it's like
does it change from attachment to attachment?
The distance?
Yeah.
No, the piston itself.
It will go the same.
Yeah. I can't move it without turning it on, apparently.
Because that would be a nice. Yeah, I'm not trying to. I mean, obviously, guns. The whole industry just started. But I'm just saying, from a user perspective, it would be nice if you could change the speed to where it wasn't just full on. Bruise your bone type of. And understand that it's going to be pressure applied and everything too. Yeah. But you could even maybe change the length of the stroke. This is just no getting around this. I'm just letting everybody know that right now. But you could change that. That would be a nice. Obviously, maybe it would be pretty complicated to make the fucking thing $1,600. I don't know.
Right.
Damn. So do you think it works?
What are you really using it for? That's what
I love it. Like I love it. I feel like, especially when you're like, okay, there's a couple instances I really like it. But where I like it the most is before I do my push day. So I'll go all through my pec and go through all that, get all the blood flow in there, go through my shoulder and into the tricep a little bit. and the blood just gets like so pumped up and it feels so good. There's like no creaks or aches and pains and stuff. Or if my tendonitis is bothering me at all, I can, go run it up and down the forearm and everything. And it feels so much better than like, cause I've got something called a genie rub, which is what my old chiropractor had. And it basically looks like a sander, it looks like a sander, a vibrating sander with two big metal handles and then a big pad on it. And that thing it's just like a big vibrator, and it's like, sure, it brings blood flow and all that. But this thing, I feel like I like it a lot, especially like if you have muscle, it like gets in the muscle. But yeah, I could see how it could be too aggressive, I mean, I could see that. So I do think you have to be careful with it. And spoiler, Ken also said the big problem he sees is that personal trainers are carrying these around in their bags and that they're using them on their clients. And that basically he said, like, as a personal trainer, you are not insured to do treatment on people.
You're not licensed to do it.
So it's like, that's beyond your scope of practice.
Exactly. So like you're fine to do it on yourself. Yeah. You're, but once the second you put it on someone else, you're like giving them a treatment. So that's you definitely. And he said that there could be issues. He said like there's nerve bundles behind your knee, and all you need to do is mess up if somebody already had an issue, and they had a lot of inflammation, and then you bang on it with that thing. He said that there have been a couple instances that there have been problems. So I could see it being worse. Not to mention, so these things, they're $400, right? Now you can buy an attachment for your freaking saw, for your reciprocating saw. It's basically like a golf ball on the end of a stick. Now, if this thing has an issue or potential issues that you have to be careful with, imagine those,
I'll just put like a golf ball on the end of a club, and I'll come over and beat you in the fucking back for $20.
Right.
I'll save you $380 fucking dollars, just like that.
Right.
Damn.
Yeah.
I think you should take your sweatshirt off and give everybody a demonstration of this thing.
That's for a different video. Yeah.
I'm sorry. The Grinder account.
The different website. Hey, when are you doing it? Are you doing it in the gym right before you train?
I did one day, but I feel like you're like a douchebag, like you're advertising it. You know what I mean? Like, I just felt like I was a douchebag with it. And the only reason I did it was because usually I'll do it in the car before I come in.
Yeah,
because I don't want to draw attention. Anytime I draw attention to myself, I feel like I'm being a douchebag in the gym. So I try to avoid that.
Let me say this. If I walk by someone in their car and I hear that going on, it's going to draw my attention. I'm going to notice that shit, and I'm probably going to film it.
Well, you can film it if you want. Shit. That's fine. But yeah, no, it's I like it though. It's good. The first time I used one was when I was out at Ron Partlow's gym, and I trained with him, and he was the one who gave me the idea about like hitting your shoulders and stuff before you train. It's great too. Like, you ever have those workouts, Skip, where you train legs so hard that you come home, you sit down for a couple hours, you feel good, and then you go to stand up and your legs start spasming?
Oh yeah.
They're like one of those days. It's great for that, It's good for that.
So Ron let you borrow his vibrator before you trained? I just want to be clear on this.
Actually, he used it on me.
God damn.
Yeah, in the middle of the gym in front of everybody. So
that's kind of hot.
Yeah. And then we shot a video. So
tried to say it with a straight face.
Yeah. So anyway. Oh yeah, there is a let's see, Alex Withoff. Is that how you say his name?
Oh shit. The Germinator.
He says there is an artery behind the knee that could give you some issues. So I can see that. You know
who the Germinator is, right?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah, we just had barbecue. He's like him and I are BFFs. Melissa too.
Yeah,
we just went and had rock and roll ribs at the Iron Maiden, the guy drummer for Iron Maiden. He owns rock and roll ribs, so we go in there and have ribs and slaw and shit like that.
He said to ask you about the coleslaw.
Coleslaw, I could eat. He knows he's being funny. I could eat a fucking gallon of their coleslaw because it's sweet and it's real watery. It's fucking good, man.
Really?
Anyway.
I can't stand coleslaw. Like, I can't eat it. It's just like not on the menu for me.
Oh, coleslaw is the shit. If it's good, I'm not like a mustard-based coleslaw or mustard-based like potato salad or anything like that.
Yeah.
But coleslaw is the shit. If it's right, it's good.
All right.
Yeah.
We do have some other questions, so I'll jump to those. Let's see here. DHEA, any benefits in taking it other than the fact that a lot of us are low in DHEA? You ever get tested? You ever get tested for DHEA, guys? I know that. Yeah. I know that a lot of times guys on TRT will get their DHEA tested. I have never had mine tested.
No, me either. I've been tested for, gonorrhea and things like that, chlamydia, but never for DHEA. No. And I've passed those tests with flying colors, too, for the record.
But we don't know about the DHEA. You could be carrying it.
You're just going to have to take my word for it, though, because I could have failed them. But, so there's that. No, I haven't. I've never had, and DHEA, I tell you what, Scotty, correct me if you feel differently. That's funny when I say that, and then you look over to your right, because on my screen he's to your right, and it's just kind of funny, like you're looking at him like you're in the same room. Anyway, no, the other way. Yeah, there you go. So anyway, I think DHE levels are, and I don't want to trigger anybody, but I think DHE levels are probably more important when you're not on cycle. When you're not on cycle, if you're TRT or you're natural, it's going to probably have more of an impact to make sure your DHEA levels are where they're supposed to be for natural testosterone production, things like that. So, you agree, Scott, or no?
Yep.
Okay, there you go.
I think they're more important in women.
That I would agree with as well. Yeah.
And I've had them on labs before. I don't remember what the hell they said.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that. What did you say?
I mean, I've had them on labs before. I don't remember what they were, but
okay. I didn't hear what you said.
I mean, it's like, I don't know, whatever year, many years ago, DHE supplements got all excited, and they're kind of like,
what year was that? Come on, just throw it out there.
It was 2009 and a half.
Was it though, for real? The late 2000s?
I don't remember.
I don't think it was
when
that
DHEA was like the next coming.
That was like way earlier.
I mean, you get your Tribulus and your DHE going, you're going to get swole the fuck up. Yes, you are.
It is when you get into, I've seen clients who have done, there's two ways to do TRT. There's basic TRT where you just fucking get testosterone. They give you an anti-estrogen, which is almost always a Arimidex, which I always fight for Aromacin. It's so expensive compared to Arimidex that you'll rarely get it, but if you do, it's a big fat bonus. But anyway, that's like basic TRT. And then there's like TRT with like, they're going to dose like all this extra shit with it, not just HCG and stuff, but they're going to dose like
vitamin D.
DHEA, all this extra shit there, and you pay through the ass for it.
Glutathione.
Right. Good. You know what? And I got to be careful. I got to be careful when I say this, because I've got an awesome client from Denver. I adore this. I wish all my clients could be as cool as 10 of them.
Okay, I was going to say, you said 10 of them because I thought you were about to isolate all your other clients. It'd be like,
I know.
I wish they were all as cool as this client.
Right. I just pissed off a whole bunch of people. Like, I wonder if I'm in that 10.
Yeah. Now they could be. You're probably in that 10 guy.
And she's going through TRT and everything else. And one of those questions was about glutathione. And I'm like, look, find out first if they're fucking expensive, because her liver values were off just a little bit. Okay. And my concern was, okay, you can take the glutathione to kind of, yes, it may help, but it also could mask if there's some other is. Let's find out what the issue is to if there's a reason that they're elevated versus just going, well, this will fix it. And then, it's done. So I just thought it was funny because glutathione, she has that very extensive TRT. It's not the basic one, and they get into all that stuff too. And I don't want to mock it. I don't want to knock it.
No, there's benefits to that stuff too. Absolutely. And sometimes. Go ahead.
No, it was just I tried to stop it. So I apologize. I just don't want to. If you could afford, I guess is the better way, to have more of a complicated or extensive TRT, then by all means do that, because there's always more testing involved. And they're looking at different stuff, and I think that's great. I do question whether a third of that stuff is actually needed or necessary. I think sometimes it's overkill, but yet you still have those options there. And then you can go back to whether someone's training you, or you can go back to, your doctor friends, and you can ask them, and you can kind of consult and advise and make that decision if you want to, to have those added things versus just the basic where you're just stuck with the basic. You're stuck with TRT and anti-estrogen. That's about it.
Yeah. DHEA, I mean, I will say this, that it could be beneficial. And if it is low, like I've seen it improve my libido when I had, like when I came off of everything, you know, and I was just like, was on TRT because I think it was because I was used to running more. I felt like I had issues at first, just like being at a normal level. And I started taking DHEA and that seemed to fix it while it was a problem. So
define your libido problems and how they went up.
It didn't go up. That was the problem.
Exactly.
No, it was.
But you're saying it got better when you got on TRT, right?
No. Like when I went to TRT, I had issues for like a few months where I felt like my libido had dropped off, and like I was used to using a lot more, I think is what it was. And so like just having 200 in my 200 milligrams of test, it's like that's nothing. You know, we need 1,000. You know.
Well, I'll throw out my opinion. I want to see if you guys agree with this.
What's that?
A lot of times, too, coming off cycle,
yeah,
when you have declining testosterone levels, it's really not even the testosterone that's the issue. It's that your estrogen levels are all over the place.
Yeah, I think that was part of it.
Once you
The
stabilize,
ratio,
Yeah.
and that means you have less free test.
Yeah, and I do think that was an issue too because I ended up having to fix that later. But the DHEA did help, and I know people that have had low DHEA and the doctors tell them to take it. And if that's the case, I mean, that's one you could add in real cheap. You know, like if you buy it yourself, I know that VJ was prescribed DHEA and the doctor was like, oh, this is a really special DHEA that I sell. And it was like, $100 a month or something. But, in reality, honestly, he said like he couldn't tell any difference, I think, when he took the regular DHEA, like the stuff, over the counter. But, on that note, I got a question for you guys. I've seen so many doctors now, and this is just a theory. I could be off here. I've seen doctors in the TRT world that really have pushed the secretagogue peptides, like the IPAM and the CJC and stuff. And they're like, this is really going to be beneficial to you. I feel like the main benefit of that stuff, in my opinion, is that you are a lot more likely as a patient to buy that when they're charging you a few $100s for a couple months supply or several $100s for a couple months supply.
I've tried a few $100 for a couple weeks.
Versus, wait. Versus growth hormone that's going to be like, $1,200 or $2,000 a month. Like they're going to get more sales if they promote the peptides.
Well, yeah, because the HRT doctors get kicked back from the compounding pharmacies.
Right.
That's why they want you to buy all that shit.
I got a different theory.
Yeah, what's your theory?
I do. And I think that you'll agree with my logic,
Okay.
but you may not agree that this is why. Okay, so hear me out on this. The demographic that we're talking about is roughly in their 40s, right? They were kids or teenagers in the 80s.
Okay.
So, okay. Which is when Lyle Alzado died. The connection between HGH and hear me out on this because we all know that there's differences, that this isn't accurate, but the connection between his brain disease and GH or HGH from cadavers was heard and not understood by a lot of the people who are our age right now. I say, remember, they're not bodybuilders. They're mainstream people.
Yeah.
There's probably a lot of mainstream people that are our age guys who will hear growth hormone and think, I don't want to fucking die like Lyle Alzado. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Not knowing that was cadaver, not knowing the difference. That's why I have a problem. It's like this pet peeve of mine. When people refer to growth hormone as HGH, it drives me.
Well, it is, nuts. Isn't it?
It's not. It's just growth hormone.
Isn't it human growth hormone versus like monkey growth hormone?
I'll tell you what. I look at it this way: human growth hormone to me, and you guys tell me if you see it. Maybe you don't see it this way. HGH to me, human growth hormone was from cadavers.
No.
Growth hormone is just growth hormone.
No, HGH is
HGH.
Well, yeah, but you get what I'm saying. I mean,
I think it's prescribed as HGH. Like, I think that it's just that it's for humans because you could get like, canine growth hormone if you really, you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm thinking it is. It's the growth hormone of the human being. You know, it's just it's synthetic.
If you're not paying very much for your growth hormone, you might want to make sure that it's not canine growth hormone.
Yeah. Start growing a tail. Start licking your own balls.
Show me
human growth hormone.
Yeah, if you get caught licking balls, you can just blame it on, my growth hormone must be canine growth hormone. That's the reason.
Skip just ate his turd. He must have canine growth hormone.
I just ate cat turds. What the fuck's going on? No, you send me, Scott. I'm pointing at you because I'm aggressive right now. You send me something, and I will be accountable on the podcast to say, oh my fucking God, I've been wrong for years. If you send me like something like as a script, I've never seen it. That's why I'm asking you to do that. Or anybody else who's listening, to be honest, show me something with HGH that's convincing that is not like, that is what is written for scripts or on like a pharmaceutical grade growth hormone or something like that.
Tell me if this works. I have an app. It's called GoodRx, and you look up drugs by either the drug name or you look up brands. And so I just looked up growth hormone, and here's what it came up with. I'm going to hold it up to your screen first so you can see it.
I don't have my glasses. So
it says, I don't know if the viewers can see that either, but it says recombinant human growth hormones, and then it lists all the different brands that are available.
Okay, so is GoodRx, because I don't recognize that. Is GoodRx considered like fucking WebMD, or is it kind of
what it is?
It's a discount site.
Yeah, it's a discount site where you actually type in what you want to get, and then you get coupons from your so it's hooked up to pharmacies basically.
Okay.
So it's like you can search drugs by their name. So I just figured it was a quick way I could look it up and like get a legit thing, because then they have all the brand names and stuff. So if I click on like interesting too, Increlex for it. Wow, this holy shit. 4 milligrams. 10 milligram. 4 milliliters of 10 milligrams per milliliter. 3 vials is $10,000. That's with the discount. Humatrope, $764.
Is Humatrope listed as HGH?
They all are. They're all under recombinant human growth hormones.
Somatotropin, but Pfizer lists theirs in their description as human growth hormone.
No shit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, I might get. This is not looking good for me.
You went on a limb, though. You went out on a limb, and I respect that, though.
Man, okay.
You did.
Yeah.
I respect that.
I'm trying to keep my head above water right now. I feel like I'm getting heavy. I'm getting tired, and I'm gonna fall below but I'm not drowning yet.
Well, here's the deal. So
you probably need some tren.
I know a guy. I'm gonna get back to my point. I know a guy who took the he got a combo of peptides from his doctor, and it was like a 2-month supply or something like that, and he paid like $700 for it, something like that. I am looking at right now, if I wanted to get Omnitrope from Costco, I have a coupon that I can pick it up for $4,942 for a 10 milligram cartridge. So
great deal.
Here's the deal, is that nobody is going to buy that. So I think that's why doctors have gotten it's easier to sell, you know? I think that's what the real drive of the peptides are. But personally, I don't think there is much of benefit, but that's just me.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
What is?
It's an easier sell.
Yeah, I would think it probably is too. But I still wonder what part plays with if there's any type of negative connotation. Remember, from a business standpoint, they have to take things like that into consideration. And it just lines up for me with the demographic and everything else. I mean, aside from the fact, even if I lose the HGH versus GH argument, I fucked my point up too, because I got off on
you got greedy. You wanted to
tangent
make
where I'm probably exactly right. I'm going to end up wrong. So that overshadows my original point. But my original point being, I still think that plays into it. It's with business, semantics is huge, and just like with TRT, you're never gonna see the word steroid anywhere.
No, low T,
anabolic, anything else. TRT, and they don't even want to use the word testosterone. They want to go with TRT whenever they can.
Yeah.
Used to be HRT, which I thought might have been a little bit better, but nonetheless, apparently maybe it didn't. They had to switch to TRT because it was too general and people didn't understand what it was. I don't know. But I do think that there still is something there where I think that if you polled the general public in the 40s and into their 50s, they would probably think there's some sort of negative connotation with growth hormone because they wouldn't understand, the not the idiosyncrasies, but the details or the specifics of, why the GH that Lyle Alzado used was so fucking bad and
funny
killed and all that good shit.
It's funny you say that because one of the people I know who used the peptides, he doesn't want to use real growth hormone because he's afraid of there being an issue with it. So I don't know where he got it from, but that's what he thinks.
It's good marketing though. When you think about it, it's not his fault. That's what he's been fed. I would even wonder if you asked people who, let's just say people who are TRT and don't work out.
Yeah.
I bet they might not even know that the testosterone they're taking is it is a fucking steroid. It's an anabolic steroid that can make you huge if you take more of it. They'd be like, no, it's not. Yeah. Those baseball players you don't want to allow into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
They're on the same shit you are.
Yeah.
You're taking the shit they are. Oh, no, that's not true. I can hear it now. I bet you that there would be a lot of people who really don't understand. And all that is effective marketing. I mean, you could say it's ignorance, which clearly it is to some degree, but that's not their fault.
Yeah.
They're only taking, it's like your buddy or your client. He knows what he's been fed. He doesn't necessarily, we all think you should go out and research everything, but a lot of people trust their doctors and it is what it is, and they don't know the difference. They know what they've been fed.
Yeah. All right. I'll see what else we got here. So we got through the DHEA. So that's your answer about DHEA.
Yeah.
Adding Provira. Okay, this is an interesting question because it's this. There's two sentences, and the second sentence, it's like sometimes we get a question, and like the first sentence, you're like, okay, there's a straightforward question, and then there's a follow up like next sentence, and it's like, well, this is a lot more to explain. Adding Proviron to off-season cycle, worth it, or is Masteron enough?
This is the S2H skip argument.
We already had this question, didn't we?
Yeah, because we like to argue. People like to hear us argue about this shit.
Just take more training.
Oh shit. Okay, run that. Do it one more time though, just so that I understand exactly.
Adding Proviron to the off-season cycle, is it worth it, or is Masteron enough? My big question is like the Masteron in an off-season cycle.
Yeah. What do you want it first, Scott, or you want me to go at it first, and then you can cross it?
I have to answer this text message.
All right. Here's my take. First, Proviron is expensive. You're going to obviously increase the SHBG, but you know what, Masteron? I'm a Masteron fan. That's the joke. And the person who asked it knows that that S2H and I like to fucking argue about this because I'm a Masteron guy and he is a Proviron guy. I have always said that I think that the two are redundant. I understand if we're going to break it down that, you may get more of a response or more SHBG and you can, that sort of shit out of Proviron. But you have to also take into consideration the cost of the shit too. And Proviron is not fucking cheap.
No, it's not.
So if you're going to get any significant amount of Proviron, it is relatively innocuous from a side effect standpoint. So, it's not like, you can just fucking run it if you want.
Might make your hair fall out, right?
Yeah, I suppose, but there are some of us who don't give a shit about that.
Point taken.
Yeah, I don't have a head of hair that I'm fighting to keep, so those things like that I don't worry about too much. But you have to take into, like I say, the cost, and if it's in the off season, you run it for a while. A lot of times, what happens is people run Proviron for like the last half, a prep cycle, and it can make. I still think that Masteron and Proviron together are overkill, or maybe not overkill, but they're redundant. I'm a Masteron fan. I would say run the Masteron. But that's me, and I have a feeling that Scotty would be like, nah, Proviron.
But would you run it during a off-season cycle?
I don't know if you have a problem with SHBG and you thought it could help to increase. I mean, if you're taking 1,000 milligrams of tests, or 1,200 as an example, I just throw that out as an arbitrary number, and you're getting free testosterone levels that are not indicative of 1,000 or 1,200 total tests, then yeah, I mean, you may want to be taking something that can help to benefit to increase your free testosterone. See, this comes back to that whole thing about when you do your blood work that everybody gets so tied up in the total testosterone when you really need to be paying attention to your free testosterone as well, because it's the free testosterone that tells you, where your SHBG levels are. So you have to know where they are. If you don't, then you can take a bunch of tests. It's not going to be as effective. So yeah, I do think I think it's an okay idea to take in the off season to increase free testosterone levels. Absolutely, but only if you have a problem with. If you don't have a problem with free testosterone levels, and you don't have issues with SHBG, it's fine. Then definitely don't waste your money on Promiron.
Okay, yeah, that was my thought too.
Yeah,
but Scott, where are you at?
I mean, you could. I wouldn't take either one in the off season, but I mean, one's a 1-methyl, the other one's a 2-methyl. They're not exactly the same. They don't have the same. They on paper they look very similar, but they're both DHTs, but they both act a little differently. So, I mean, if you just want to work, if it's an SHBG thing, I think Proviron is a better drug. Mm-hmm. If you want to get a drug that's got a little more anabolic activity to it, then the Masteron's a little better. But take it or leave it. I don't think either one's going to make this. I mean, I'm not real big on the off-season use of something, either one of them sometimes. So.
Right, but let's say this. Let's just say in the off season, someone is taking testosterone at that level, 1,000, 1,200 milligrams, and they do have a low free testosterone level. In a situation like that, would you say, or would you have any other way to counter?
What's their estrogen level?
Well,
that's the first thing I'd look at.
Right, exactly. But let's just assume, for the sake, I'm trying to break it down to where, let's just say the estrogen is controlled and it's where it's supposed to be, and there's still a free testosterone issue. Excuse me. I think that's what I'm saying, because I would agree with you that if you don't have a free testosterone issue and it's where it's supposed to be based on your total test, then yeah, either one of them really is not necessary. But if there is an issue, I mean, I would tend to think that you would think the same way that I would, that, okay, yeah, it could be beneficial in that sense. But I think across the board, you're going to run into not as many people who are going to need something like that in the off season. That I admit.
So I don't get your point.
Well, my point is if there is an issue with someone who is taking testosterone, and they have a total testosterone that does not compare the way it's supposed. The free testosterone level is too low for their total testosterone, and their estrogen is where it's supposed to be. Then would you recommend one or the other, maybe Proviron, to increase the free testosterone level?
Well, I have to see what their SHBG numbers are.
Well, I know, but you would know that you could look at the free, right? Okay, I'll agree with that. But what I'm saying is, I mentioned free testosterone because if you have a free testosterone issue and it's low, then it's pretty much a given you've got an SHBG level or SHBG problem.
It could be, but I mean, the thing with free to total ratios is they can vary for other reasons, and sometimes it's just when you get tested. Are you testing at the same time? Yeah, when's the last time you injected? I mean, so there's some timing stuff in there. If you get that all down right, and then you've got, I mean, I can see what you're saying, but the thing is, I mean, you can take 10 guys, give them the same test dose, and they could have similar total testosterones, but you'll see that the free testosterone, even if the estrogen is somewhat similar, can vary quite a bit.
That microphone.
So. I mean, I don't know. Just take them both, and then you got both bases.
Yeah, then you're covered. Exactly.
I just think Proviron works a little better if it's an SHBG issue.
You know what I wonder? I wonder nowadays with, okay, I think back to back when I would have started gear, you would not have bought, nobody would have taken Master on in the off season at the time. Like nobody, period, right? It's like,
Probably right.
you know, it would have been like, no, you take Test, DECA, D-ball, maybe EQ, you know, that was it. And then, you know, if you're cutting, then maybe Masteron. But everybody on the board's just like, oh, Masteron's really weak. I remember everybody saying that back in the day. But I just wonder, like, compared to nowadays where, you know, like the issue that everybody talks about where, like, that people don't want to see their off season, that they want to stay looking good year round. Everybody's trying to look good for social media. I wonder how much like if we had a source that was selling gear 15 years ago, I'd love to talk to him about like what the trends were like compared to now. Like, you know, what are they selling now that they didn't sell back then as much and vice versa?
I think you make a good point about social media, but I also think that it's equally important to note that I think people tend to pay more attention to their health, in large part, not everybody, but people tend to pay attention to their health too more than they used to. And I think that everybody knows or kind of accepts that, okay, I'm gonna hold a lot more water on longer ester tests and longer ester DECA, like regular DECA, versus, you know, the shorter acting compounds. And I think that might be some of the thought, you know, when it comes to Masteron using. You know, I've had a lot of people talk to me and ask me questions more in the last 5 years about guys using Primo than ever before.
Yeah, I think Primo's
and I
newer.
ended up using it myself.
I think Primo is a more popular thing nowadays, but I also, okay, I'm going to go to bat on this one with you, Skip. All right.
Okay.
So here's my thought. Yeah, I do agree with that. There's a lot more Primo use, but you know what? You're talking to an older demographic a lot of times. You've said that you work with a lot of, you know, clients that you know, I feel like the older I get, the more health conscious I am. But I'll tell you what, man, the gym I was at today, there's a lot of young people there, and I can tell a lot of them don't give a fuck. You know what I mean?
I would agree with.
Because you got all the kids that are like, you know, training like crazy. I just use that as a verb, I think. Training like crazy.
Training.
Right.
Yeah, I
you
like
know?
that.
Yeah.
Consider.
They're like,
So what you have is the younger the younger generation who are caught up more in the visual, and then you have the older demographic who's more caught up now in health than usual.
Yeah.
And I think that both of those things are probably playing into using the different compounds and using the different esters.
Yeah.
There's also, you know, your things that weren't around 10, 12 years ago, your parabolins and hex and parabolins or hex or, you know, Primo. I don't remember injectable Primobolin being very available, let alone, I mean, even if you didn't want it, I don't even know that it was fucking available. I haven't used Primobolin in fucking 20 years. And I just put it into my last off season cycle at a pretty big dose, and I'll never do it again. Because I didn't think it was very effective at all.
Well, it's a weak steroid.
Exactly. And I knew it going in, but I thought, you know, and look, in defense of myself, I do like to come back and revisit these things that I have thought for years and years and years, because you don't just want to think something 20 years ago, or in my case, 30 years ago, or however the fucking long it's been, and then just accept that and never challenge it again.
Yeah.
You can't shelf things because they either didn't work at one point or you felt a certain way or thought a certain way about something and then never come back to it. That just doesn't make any sense. So I put it back in and I thought, okay, you know, this will be where it'll still work, but even if it doesn't work well, okay, then I'll know. I don't think it worked for shit.
Yeah.
I don't think Primobolin for a guy works until you get up over a fucking 1,000 milligrams. And even then it's probably not going to be. Yeah. It is to me, in my opinion.
This is me and Skip go at it day. This is me and Skip go at it day.
Well, we'll agree on this one.
Okay.
The other thing is it real Primobolin?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good question.
Based on the price of powders coming out of China. Yeah, I don't know. Because it doesn't.
Okay, so I talked to somebody about that. I will say, I'm going to say two things. So number one, first time I ran Primo, I was told you got to run it high. You got to run it really high. Guys I saw on the boards were doing like 800 milligrams a week. I started at 700, and I was like, holy shit. I'm feeling this like really strong a few weeks in. I backed it down to 600. and then to 500 to 400. And now if I would ever run Primo again, I honestly, good Primo Bone, like 300 milligrams, and I'm getting a strong effect from it. Maybe it's just me, and I can't say that I'd like grow like crazy, but I look like full and big and hard on it, and I can like I get a feel from it. You know what I mean? It's like the muscle looks good, and I feel like for me that's fine. And when I was up higher, I was getting acne and stuff. So I don't know, but I will say this. So at the cost of Primo, I've looked around at the prices, and I saw that like if you bought small amounts of powder, it would end up costing like you would break even basically by making Primo. You know, if you bought like 100 grams of Primo, then it would end up coming out to be like the same price that you'd have to sell the bottles for like $200 at 100 milligrams per milliliter, 10 milliliter amp in order to make a 100% profit. But then I talked to somebody and he said that the source is that they can make a lot of money on it. That these guys are making like, there was a Primo that was 200 milligrams per milliliter, and I was told that it cost like under $30 to make. So they're buying like kilos of the sources, you know, they can buy a kilo at a time. And when they do that, then they get a hell of a price on it. So
sure.
I don't know.
All right.
I don't know nothing about that kind of stuff, but
I can talk about it because I don't have any affiliation. It was somebody told me, you know, but
purely fiction. Yes. I just still will go on record, and I will leave it at this. I personally, just me.
Yeah.
I think that it is. I'll never use it again because I was at 600 and I went to 800.
I didn't like it.
Could have thrown it in the trash.
What about
now? The question is
just a weak
whether
anabolic.
it was real. Whether it was real. It's not like I got nothing. All I'm saying is
it wasn't worth it.
No, yeah. I could have taken something. I mean, I would compare 800 to probably. Fuck, man. I'm guessing, but like I'd rather run 300 or 400 milligrams of EQ. I mean, it just wasn't. And yet I can take DHB and notice it right away.
Yeah.
And I can only run that at 400 or 500 milligrams and be like, oh my God, this stuff is freaking awesome. Yeah. So, you know, I've run enough gear over the years that I can, you know, I've run a lot of shit. I'll just
leave it at that. I've taken a lot of steroids. All right, I'm gonna see.
Well, I took 200 milligrams of Anadrol a day, and I felt that shit.
That worked, huh? We've got a skip loading question.
Oh God!
I'm gonna take a nap on that one.
Is it a? No, go ahead, shoot.
Okay. Is using a diet with cyclical refeeds, like say, skip loading, successfully for a long time? But, okay. So if this person is using a cyclical diet, using skip load like refeed successfully for a long time, but they have hit a weight loss plateau, how would you decide if the regular day calories were needed to be cut or if the refeed needs to be smaller?
You
can contact Skip on intensemuscle.com.
I know, right? And you can pay big money for this. No. I'll give the Cliff Note version. And you know what? I'll take all the questions on skip when I can. I always get nervous though when because sometimes they're redundant, and I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have acted like I knew that it was.
It's a good one.
Yeah, it is a good, and I agree with you. So I shouldn't have done that. It doesn't help though because I've got Mock Boy over here who likes to take his little cheap jabs at me when he can. But anyway, if you are stuck, cutting the skip load is not usually, and there's a lot of factors here. How big is the skip load? How cyclical is your diet? I mean, he said cyclical. So some people refer to a straight line regular diet during the week and a skip load on the weekend as cyclical because it is cyclical. Or you can have high and low days during the week and then skip load. So I don't know exactly what it means by cyclical, but this is how it goes with the skip load. If you are not dropping below baseline, then typically your skip load is too big. So it's not about progressing when you look at whether the skip load has to be cut back or not. It's simply whether you baseline. So as an example, if he went into the week or he ended the week before a skip load at 200 pounds and he can't get below 200 pounds again, it's probably the skip load and it's too big. That's when you cut the skip load back. If he's stuck and he can't get any leaner, but he is hitting the 200 pounds and he just sticks at 200 pounds, then that's the diet that has to be changed. That is a very blanket black and white statement, but it will cover typically 90% of people stuck in that type of situation. So to the listener or that person who asked the question, if that doesn't answer your question, then message me. Like if it's more complicated than that, or you say no, maybe I didn't understand clearly what, then message me and I'll answer. Matter of fact, I appreciate Scott saying that. Intense Muscle that we are relaunching, and it'll relaunch later this month. Our anniversary is on the 24th of February. It'll be 16 years. We'll probably relaunch that day. I just have to get that ironed out. But people are still signing up out of curiosity and looking and viewing, posting. So feel free, not just the guy asking the question about skip loading, but feel free, any of you, to drop in, sign up, register, sign in under your old name, handle, whatever, and talk, discuss, debate, argue, whatever. So if you want to provide more information, because I don't understand clearly your question about skip loading, then post on Intense Muscle, tell me who you are, that you asked the question, and give me a bunch of information, and I'll help you out. I'll answer.
I took a massage gun break. Did you notice that?
Nice.
Yeah. While you were talking, I took a massage gun break. We had a question about, now this is an easy one. Okay. So although that was a really good one, and this is bless Matt Spina's heart, he had one that was pretty basic, but it is a Melanotin 2 question. Melanotin 2 and random erections. Go.
Typically only when you start.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like every now and then you don't have, but they're more prevalent like during the first few weeks that you're starting, and that blood level of, MT2 is coming up. He
said, and actually to be all, completely fair, he had said, he came across people saying that it has a Viagra-like effect. So, Viagra is not going to just always cause a random erection, right? So if needed, then you call to attention. Would you get that effect from it at least, like more of enhancing effect, or no? After a while,
I don't think. Look, I've taken Melanotan since 2005, pretty much fucking straight.
You don't look very dark today, by the way.
I'm not. I haven't been tanning for a few weeks. I probably only tanned in January 4 or 5 times and was on vacation the last half of December. So okay. It'll start back tomorrow. By the time the next podcast comes around, I'll be like, damn, you got your color back. But no, like I say, I kind of took a break. But I think it's more, at least in my experience, it doesn't have the Viagra component. Like when you go to have sex, it helps to maintain an erection. What it does is it gives you like basically morning wood for the first few. So there's a difference. It doesn't work like Viagra or Cialis or anything as far as my experience. And the reason I know that is because I take daily Cialis and know the difference between not taking the Cialis, and it's not like no function without it, but clearly a heightened function with it. So I think if the Melanotan 2 provided that same effect, I probably wouldn't notice the difference of taking the Cialis versus not taking the Cialis. So I don't see it that way. I see it strictly as random morning wood.
Okay. Kind of stepping back for a minute. Alexander, does he go by Alexander or is it Alex?
Alex.
Okay. Alex had pointed out something. He said Primo just fucks with your HDL. Way worse than Anavar, in his opinion. I saw blood work by Matt Porter with HDL levels of 13. 13.
There Primo. May have been other things in there too, like as an example, and I'm not going to discount what Alex says because Alex pretty fucking smart. Plus he's a ICU nurse. So, I mean, the guy's, he's pretty fucking intelligent, been around for long. That's weight. You guys aren't from, and anybody from Intense Muscle, that's weight jump for me. He's been around forever on Intense Muscle. So anyway, I don't know too. I mean, you don't know when the HDL tanks, though, that there's not other variables too, like Arimidex.
True.
Things that can just fucking totally tank the shit out of your HDL too. So I'm not saying that he's wrong, because I consider Anavar, it'll tank your fucking HDL like a motherfucker. So if Primobolan does, I'll be honest, I didn't know that. If that's the case, then I appreciate the information, because I did not know that. I've only run it once, and the blood, the more I think about it, I don't think the panel might have been done. No, it was prior to it. So I don't have anything that would have been.
I'm trying to decide in my head how Primobolan, what action it would take to lower your HDL.
I don't know. I've often wondered that about Anavar as well. Is it just the difference? Would Anavar do that more because it's an oral? It's methylated?
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I know orals can really wreak havoc. I mean, I know I've seen people using oral Turinabol that had destroyed their cholesterol profile.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
See, and I have not seen that with, like, I want to say Dianabol. I don't know that I have with Anadrol. The only thing I really pay attention to Anadrol with is liver values, which I think is, what everybody's focused on when they're taking or have been on Anadrol.
Right.
Really, the only thing that's ever tanked my HDL has been Arimidex.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Anavar.
I'm not saying there's not some movement in it with other things, but yeah.
Well, I've pretty much tanked mine, but when I say tanked, I mean high teens from high 30s in like 5 weeks. And I typically run Aromacin. I haven't for the last 4 or 5 months, but I typically run Aromacin. I mean, if I think of all the years I've run gear, I have run gear, especially in the off season. 90% of my off season usage of anti-estrogen has been Aromacin for that point. Cause I know, I mean, it's really important to me. It should be to a lot of people to maintain that HDL level instead of having it, in the tank. Plus I usually don't run orals unless it's pre-contest. And I'm not a huge dose, I'm not a big dose guy when it comes to orals anyway. Now I will admit that I sometimes will run 4 on 4 off with orals in the off season, but what I have found and how I came to that 4 on 4 off is because it didn't have time to completely fuck up your blood panel, even if you ran strong oral for most people. And it didn't for mine. It barely started to touch them at the 4 week mark, especially relative to just going like 2 more weeks. So that's how I came up with that 4. And the 4 off was just because I was on for 4. It could be maybe I could only do it for 2, and that would help. I have no idea. But 4 on 4 off always worked really, really well.
We've got one more question here. What was the last TV series you binged on or are currently binging?
This is awesome. I love this question. Scott, go.
No, I have to think.
Do you really?
Yeah, because I don't watch that much TV.
Okay, my wife and I binge watch shit. Like, we're like binge watching old people. Like, fuck, she gets mad. She'll be like, it's 1:30. I got to be up in the morning. I'm like, you're the fucking boss. You can go in when you want. And she knows that. But anyway, we are currently watching Sneaky Pete. But we just, and there's another.
That's a good show.
It is pretty good. We just finished the first, but I mean, we're like fucking kings of binge watching shit. Like fucking kill. Like we just finished The Ranch. That was what, 7 or 8 seasons. And I'm not a big Ashton Kutcher fan at all, but damn it, he was kind of funny. And Sam Elliott, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Me?
The Ranch. Yeah.
Oh, you're asking the wrong person. I don't know anything about movies. I'm just smiling along.
When we come back from the gym at night, we got about 2 hours of her and I just chilling on the couch, watching 1, 2, sometimes 3. Schitt's Creek. We finished Schitt's Creek, but the new episode or the new season is out. But damn it, they only put out 1 episode per week. Yeah. And that's 7 or 8, but those are only 20 minutes at a time, those episodes. So that's really fucking funny. But some people don't like, and I don't understand this, but whatever, to each their own. But some people don't like when there's gay characters or like a gay couple, and they'll be like, no, fuck that shit, that's not even funny, and they just avoid it. So whatever. If you don't like anything to do with a gay person or gay couples, I guess you're not going to like Schitt's Creek, but it's fucking hilarious. It's dry hilarious.
Yeah.
Like very, very dry, like their mannerisms and shit. If anybody is watching, David is fucking hilarious. It's just, I got to stop because it's just too fucking funny. But I'm watching Sneaky Pete right now. I'm one season in and I do like it.
Did you come up with something, Scott?
Well, outside of the Dukes of Hazzard when I was like 14, I think the last show I watch one show now, but it's not a series. That American Pickers.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I like that show.
And you can binge watch that.
I'd say 2.5 Men with Charlie Sheen.
Was
okay. One I used to watch, but I still watch a lot of TV, and I do watch American Pickers. I like what's the other one? The guy that was from the pond, the guy with the cars, counting cars. It's like the A&E stuff, the History Channel, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I did watch 2.5 Men. I still watch it when it comes on reruns.
See, you've got regular cable though, right?
I don't know what we got.
Well, what I'm saying is you have like Comcast or DirecTV. We don't have that. I fucking gave up on that shit.
You don't have it at all, huh?
We have Netflix and, well, I got a Fire Stick and it's broken, but that's not the point. We basically, honestly, 99% of what we watch is Prime Video and Netflix.
Yeah.
And that's it.
I think that's what most people watch nowadays.
You know, now it'll fuck me over sometimes, like during baseball season. I'll actually have to get somebody over here to play with my Fire Stick. That sounded really bad. But anyway, they'll have to come over and figure out, because I got to be able to watch, baseball. I know you guys aren't into baseball, but we're big baseball fans, especially when it's the playoffs and the World Series. I get fucking mad if I can't. And if I had regular cable, I'd just be able to turn it to TBS or whatever that covers the playoffs and the World Series, but I don't have that.
Well, I watch baseball because we have a good baseball team.
Oh, no shit. You do watch baseball for real?
Yeah.
I didn't know you were I did not know you were a baseball fan.
I used to have a platinum parking pass to a suite to go to.
No shit.
Yeah, down at Minute Maid.
So what do you think of Dusty Baker there with the new?
Dude, all we need is Jose Altuve. That's all we need.
I don't know. That was a big mess down there. I'll be honest with you. I don't care about the scandal. It's baseball, and if you get your fucking sign stolen, and I know somebody will be fucking mad out there. Oh, that's bullshit. That's cheating. Okay, that's fine.
Hey, three-quarters of the Astros can't speak English. That's our excuse.
People have been stealing signs from the first day of fucking baseball. Figure out a better sign.
The Patriots.
That's what I'm saying. It's just, come on, get over yourself. But whatever. Anyway, I could go on and on forever about that.
Yeah.
You got, speaking of which, Super Bowl update, speaking of sports.
20-10?
Yes, it is. 20-10. Do you like football?
Yeah, I like the Texans, and I hate the Cowboys.
I was gonna say we didn't have to record. We didn't have to record
fan,
now. You could have watched the game.
No, the Texans aren't playing. I didn't even know the quarterback was for the 49ers. I'd ask my wife. She's out there screaming at the TV right now.
Yeah.
But I do. But it's just like I like my team, and I don't know. I don't watch a lot of TV. I really don't.
It's in my backyard. I mean, basically, I saw the increased traffic today, even though, I'm in Fort Lauderdale. It was clearly busier. But I don't give a shit either. In Denver, in Colorado is different because it was a football, it's Bronco country, all that type of shit. You just got pumped up for it. You hung out with your friends. You went over to somebody's house. You had them over to your house. It was kind of like a social thing. And, they did a lot of winning, too, over those years that we were there. So it was a lot different down here. It's just not the same. Now, when Jimmy played, it was cool, but I don't have a fucking team. I just pull for whoever Jimmy was playing for, or, whoever, Denver. If I'm in Colorado, I was pulling for Denver because that's where I was. So.
Yeah. I mean, I go to some Texans games, and actually Deshaun Watson doesn't live very far from me.
Is that right?
Yeah. And, yeah, I mean, they're good. I get behind them. I follow them in the Astros, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, my wife, she's super hardcore. When their football season's over with, it's like, she gets sits there and looks at the TV like. Well,
that's what I do.
She was mad. She was mad this week because Dr. Phil wasn't on all week because they had that stupid ass impeachment crap, which is another pile of crap that I won't watch. And so she was pissed. I came home. She's like, yeah, she's saying something. I go, what's the matter? She's Dr. Phil's been off all week because of this impeachment shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know which is worse, Dr. Phil or the impeachment.
That's funny. Yeah. Scott, you don't even have a team in Michigan. The Lions have always sucked forever since I lived there.
Yeah, but the people still like them, and they have Ford Field is downtown now, so that's different than when you were here. It's kind of cool when you go to downtown Detroit because they tore down Old Tiger Stadium, which was such a cool landmark, but the new Comerica Park is right there, so the Red Wings and the Tigers and the like you can see all these places like right down there. It's kind of cool.
I've been there. I've been to Comerica and
okay,
the Tigers in the last couple of years.
It's a cool park too, isn't it?
Ford Field too. I saw Jimmy play in Ford Field, so that's been 7 or 8 years, but I have been there.
Yeah, it's cool.
Detroit, downtown Detroit really has. They've really done a good job.
They really have, yeah.
Because I was actually surprised. Now, to get there.
It's getting better. It's getting better overall. And I was surprised because Victoria and I went downtown a couple of weeks ago to go to a couple art museums. And we ended up like going the back way to get to a couple places. And what used to be really bad areas are just like torn down now. Like they have it all cleared out. Like there's literally
that's what I heard.
It's weird. I could show you video footage because we went to this thing called the Heidelberg Project, which is like a street art thing that happens. It's right in the hood too, where this guy started like painting abandoned houses, like polka dots and stuff on them to like make it into an art thing. And so it's kind of like a thing where like, you know, white artsy people will go down to the hood and see it basically. And but that's like in the middle of a rough spot. But now it's like you would think you were in the middle of the country because it's literally like blocks of just grassy fields and like one house here, one house there, and that's it because they're all gone now. They're like tore them all down.
It's the first step to hipsterville.
It really is. Yeah,
it is. White money, and I mean I'm not trying to be a dick, but I'm just calling a spade a spade. Gentrification at its finest. White money.
Get in now.
Probably one of the Oh, absolutely.
Get in now.
They'll be one of the last cities in the country probably to gentrify, but they're in the early stages. And I tell you, man, jump on that fucking property now because you don't know 20, 30 years. That's what it'll be. It'll be a fucking art district with dudes with man buns paying $12. Really? $12
I know.
For
I know.
Coffee.
It's already like that downtown. It's already like that downtown. And then like by the schools, by like Wayne State, now they have like a Whole Foods there. And then it's like spreading out. But what's weird is you'll see a condo that says $350,000 now available. And then literally across the street from it is a burnt down home. It's like that. It's kind of not there yet, but it's getting there.
Now, where did they push the poverty to?
That's a good question, man. They still, it's still, I think it's going to the suburbs some. Oh, that guy finally showed up at Scott's house.
He just left. Your wife's been watching the football game with her boyfriend, apparently.
She knew we were wrapping up.
She would leave. You know, he eats too much.
Shit.
She knew we were wrapping up, so she was like, "You got to leave." Yeah. And so she just took off.
Exactly.
He just jumped off the porch.
Hurry, get out of here!
He's coming.
Yeah,
wipe it off.
But listen, guys.
Exactly. Where's the towel? Where's the towel?
Anybody who's watching this, guys, head over to the Facebook page and ask us questions for the next show. Give us some things to talk about on the next episode. Questions, topics, anything like that. Anything else we should cover, guys, before we take off here?
I think we covered it.
In that case, let's get out of here for another episode of Blood, Sweat, and Gear with Skip Hill, S2H. I'm Scott McNally. Check out TrueNutrition.com. You can use our code ADVICES. We'll see you later.
Out.